Hey there, YouTube. There is a speck on the lens. Hold on. There. Okay. You know, it's that OCD kicking in. Whatever. Okay. Same day, opening day of gun hunting in Wisconsin. Was 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -1 Celsius. Oh, it's warming up. I think that says 31 now. So I guess that would be 0 degrees Celsius. At any rate, I just shot what others had requested something about product reviews, but I don't really do product reviews, so I call them product use. The stuff I use and stick with and like. Not endorsed by anybody, not getting paid, not sponsored, none of that malarkey. So I got a little fire in the backyard here because I don't want to go out in the woods. Not when there's that many people with loaded guns shooting at sounds and movement. Not saying they all do that, but there are ones out there that do that. So I'm safer here in my backyard. But anyway, I was just sitting here, you know, I finished my coffee and watching the fire. And I got to thinking, well, maybe I should practice my Bowdrill skills. So I got some popple, as you can see, left over. And then there's some popple mixed in there. It's not birch, it is popple, aspen, whatever you want to call it. But I do also have a little bit of ash that I need to cut up to come down this spring from our front yard. But anyway, I figured I'd shoot a video. I might as well film making a Bowdrill set. So I have my hearth board already made. Show this to you. It ain't gonna be a keeper set, but all I did is just cut it down, flatten it out, and I think this is the side. So all you gotta do is make sure it sits flat, because you're gonna put your foot on it, and that holds it in place. So I got that made up, and now I was just making up the spindle. So let's get you set up on a tripod. Well, you're on the tripod, but I gotta get the tripod set up so you can watch what I'm doing here. Alright, you're all set up now. Turn this so I can see what you're seeing. And I got this set up. Now I'm just going to round it up. If you're not comfortable with axe or hatchet skills, by all means, this is doable with a knife. Just takes a little longer. And this is that Altaforts Classic. And if you notice, you can't quite see it, but see how I'm here. Let me get this adjusted so you can see it all. There. See how I'm not doing this? Because if I happen to come up too far, it's going to leave a boo-boo. And my other thumb is behind. I'm not coming up that far anyway. I'm staying well down below my fingers. And I just want to round it up. Round it down. Round it. Get a rough rounded shape. And you don't have to take really big swings, as you can see, as long as you got a sharp edge. And then you just want to look at it. Is it round? Is it getting round? What do I need to take down? And you can see there's a check in there. So I'm not going to use that. And there's a check on that side. So what I'm going to do now is cut them checks off of there. The cracks. Trying to see how far they go down. I am by no means an expert, so don't unsub me or shoot me or criticize me if this doesn't go as planned. But really, uh-oh, my battery's dead. Cold's getting to it. So I think I'm gonna get this finished up and get the battery changed. Alrighty, got the new battery in. Got the stick pretty well rounded. I'm just going to use my knife, which is a AA Forge Bushcrafter XL with antique ivory handles, micarta pins, and I do believe they call that boa pattern micarta spacers, and then white liners. It's a nice, fits my hand good. It's got the Scandivex grind, so it's not a Scandinavian grind, but it's convex. I took the edges down up here a little bit, because otherwise you had to come up, I don't know if you can see that, you had to come up so high to get a bite, and I like being down here to take bites. So we'll get you set up here so you can watch what I'm doing. We'll zoom you back out a little bit. Oops, wrong way. And then all I'm doing is taking these edges off. And when you're whittling or carving, stay away from the triangle of death here. So I always out and away. Knife skills. And no, you don't need a brand name fancy knife like this. If you're starting out, you can use a, see, I'm checking that every time, just to make it a little rounder. The more symmetrically round you can get it, the better it'll spin. Otherwise, if it's not, it kind of, you know, and if this is your hearth board, it's going to be going. But starting out, you don't need fancy equipment, fancy tools. I still use Moras if you're starting out. The Mora Companion is not a full tang knife, and by full tang, let's see how this steel runs all the way through the handle. The Mora is a stick tang or rat tail. So this part of the blade comes down to just a stick of steel, a little, and a 3/4. I don't baton my knives. I mean, I do, like something like this, I'll put on there. But I won't beat it with a stick. I'll just go like that, and then use my hand. And then you just twist the knife, split the wood. And okay, that wasn't my hearth board, so I'm good. But you can use a Mora. My advice would be spend the few dollars more and get a Mora Companion HD. And that's just a little thicker. And then you can practice knife skills. You can practice your sharpening skills. Because it's always nice to have a sharp knife. This is probably going to be a pretty boring video. See, now it's starting to look like something. It's starting to look like a dowel. That's about as thick as I want. About that length. Can be a little longer, can be a little shorter. For me, because when I lock my arm in around my knee like that, just a certain length, whatever is comfortable for you. Trial and error, that'll dictate what works and what doesn't work for you. So now that we got that done, you want to make one end thin and pointy, you know, start tapering it down way back here. Then you want to make another end blunt and rounded more stubby. Because one of them is going to go in your, come on guys, help me out. One's the pointy end is going to go in the bearing block. That's what I was looking for. Thanks guys, thanks for helping me with that. Yep, the bearing block. And then the other one, the blunt end, is going to go into your hearthboard. So, you just start removing material. Try to remove it equally so it stays round. And you see how I'm bracing this arm and I'm pulling back with this one. That's another little tip for knife control, because if I was doing it this way, see how that knife moves out? And I guess it's not a big deal if there's nobody else around and if you're familiar with your knife. But I just do it this way because then I look to make sure that's staying in the center. See how I'm turning it every time? Then for even finer control, and I don't want it a pointy, because that's just going to burn off anyway into the bearing block. So something like that is good. And the other end, start taking the edges off. Now see, that's going to be too fat, so bring that down a little bit. Not too fat for me. I mean, it could be your preference. Trial and error. Just get out there and try it. And then we gotta find a bowl. And I use number 36 bank line for my string. You can use paracord too, but I just use the bank line because I have more of it and it's cheaper. Now, I've made Bowdrill sets before, and I've made embers before, and I can do all that stuff. But in all honesty, I've never made a fire. I mean, I've never actually started a fire using Bowdrill method. All I've done is this stuff. Get my spindle all made, and the hearth board, and the bowl, and the bearing block, and then made embers, and I've actually put it into some grass and leaves, my bird's nest, and blew that into flame, but I've never actually started a sustaining fire. And I'm okay with that. because I figure if I can get the ember, I'll be able to get that blown into a flame with a bird's nest. And then from there, it's the same as using feather sticks or cotton ball. You still got to have fire prep done. Okay, that's pretty much done. Even this out a little bit. Now guys, this is pretty much real time, except for where I shut you off there to go change batteries. I'm just smoothing this out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you burn it in, it'll smooth all this out. And there. Now, take your hearth board, figure out which end you were going to use. Yep. And then see, there's some checks there too. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them off too. And with these saws, you got to be careful, because them teeth are very sharp. And you start cutting through, and then if your leg's there, boom! I've already got my knee a few times doing tree work. And no, I'm not endorsing this thing either, or I'm not endorsed by them. Just I used to be, like I said, in my tree work, that's what we used in the tree business, the silky. And that's what I continue to use. I have Bacos. I use them too. Those are nice little saws. I forgot which end is which, so I set it down to see what's flat. Okay. And you take the wide end, stick it in there, and you always want the hearth board a little wider than the spindle, so center would work. And I take my knife right in the center and just start creating a divot. Just something for the spindle to get started in. Doesn't have to be anything real big, as long as that spindle will fit in there, or seat in there. Yeah, like that. See, that's not a very big divot at all, that little thing there. But with the end there, it fits right in there. And all that's going to do is keep it from going when I'm trying to get it started. Just that right there. Now that that's done, put the knife away. And I have to get a bearing block. It's just a handhold. So let's use some ash for that. Loosen this up here. There, we can use some ash for that because it's a harder wood. This popple is soft. And the last thing you want is to be holding down on this thing. And this gets hot too, as it's spinning back and forth. You don't want this drilling through the bearing block and going into your hand. Hurts. So I try to use a little bit harder wood for the bearing block. That way it doesn't burn through as quick. It'll burn into this stuff faster than it will into that bearing block. Something else you can use that you don't ever have to make and you don't have to worry about redoing is you get yourself inline rollerblades, one of them wheels. They got the nice steel bearings in there. Stick this in there. Free spinning, no friction. You don't wear this end out. Something for you if you want to carry it with you, you know, if you're into making bow drills. Or you can take a smaller stone or something, you know, that fits your hand, a smaller one, palm size, and you get yourself a hammer drill bit with a hammer drill, and you drill a little dimple in there, holds that. Something else if you want to carry it in your pack. But see a stick back there. It's not ash. See if I can zoom you in there from here. Whoops, wrong way. See that one? Darker colored one? Leaning crossways, that one there. Yeah. Gonna go cut a piece of that off. Make sure it fits. Get it to fit in your hand. Yeah, that's about all the bigger it is. I'm just going to take the axe there and split a piece of that off. See, I'm batoning this. Cleaning the edges up. Now that we got that, just gonna put a little dimple in there, pushing this into my hand. To see where that dimple should sit. Right there. I'm not pushing the knife real hard because it is sharp, and I don't want to slip with it and slice my hand open. that should be all I need, is just that little dimple right there. Oh yeah, that'll stay in there no problem. So now those three components are made. Now we can go find a bowl. I have one over there that I used before. But I see one up there that I'll use. Cut that off. So now it can be either straight or curved. Trying to figure out which way works best for holding it. It'd be this way, I guess. I'll cut her down right here. Because what I'm doing is I want a full pull and push. I'll cut her right there. Something you can use as a leg vise. That. See how that holds it? We're going to clean that up. This is buckthorn. Then what I do, figure out how I'm going to hold it, and the string can go right in there. See where it sits good in your hand. And the string's going to be on this side, so you want to cut that across that way. And here's where you got to be careful, because you don't want to slip with this saw doing this. It doesn't have to be real deep, just enough to hold the bank line. Here's my bank line. And what I do is grab that end, Stretch your arms out, cut it right about there. And then for you guys that use bank line, what I do to keep it from unrolling here, I wrap it up into the middle. I take a loop, and I take the other end and I wrap it around once and twice. And it makes that twist, and just pull it tight, and it stays fairly well. This is how I was holding it. And that sits in there nice. Oh, I can't see it. Make a loop, overhand knot, swing it through again, and just pull it tight. Stick that in there. And on this end, trial and error again. Let me turn that down. Trial and error again on how tight to have it. But you put another little cut in there. See, I'm trying to see how that's gonna. I don't want it like this, because when you pull on it, it's gonna want to rotate. Just so it sits naturally, like that. Then I know which way to cut this slot again. This one I go a little deeper. And I kind of round it. Because what I'm doing then is seating it in there. And I don't know, you can see it's kind of loose. Then I'll just wrap the end. You can't see that. Wrap the end. Come back around. Put it in there 3 times. Pull it tight, and I just stick it back through there. Because I'm going to be holding there anyway. So let's give it a try. And remember, you want the blunt end down. So I come in. And then twist it. And that's kind of the hard part. because you want it tight. Otherwise it's going to slip on you. Then you can roll it down. So that way you can hold it. Because otherwise it wants to flip out. See, it wants to flip out. So you got to hold it. And let me get the stuff down on the ground there. My little divot. Got seated in there. Bearing block on there. What I'm doing now is I'm just burning it in. See, that happens. See how that's smoking already? I don't know if you can see that. And that didn't get burned in yet. But I gotta get readjusted here because this is not flat. So we'll get you into a different spot here. Now, get my reflectix. Try to keep my knee back behind where I'm working. Otherwise you end up hitting your knee or your, you know. But now what I'm going to do with this is just clean it up a bit. Get it back in here. Oof. That's what happens. Did I hit you? I think so. I'll move this over a little bit. Getting a comfortable hold here. You can see the smoke, but it's coming from the bearing block. that's coming from there. And I'm just going to clean this up. And I'm going to try that again. And they say you could take some leaves, stick that in there, help reduce the friction. And this is just called the burn-in. As you can see, it's burning in. And that's where you want it to burn in, not here. So I'll make that a little smaller again. And then bring you up over here. And what you want to do is cut your notch now. You need a notch place for them char to come out. What I usually do is I find the center of it, and then I come down and I just put a mark there, like that. See, it's pretty much in the center. And the saw. And I want to cut down to about a third of the way into that burn-in. It's a little farther than I like. But now I just make the V notch. Zoop, and flare it out. And again, you can do all this stuff with your knife. Pop that out. It's not quite perfect, but we'll see if it'll still work. And I just take my knife and clean it up. And something I like to do on the bottom side, just make that a wee bit wider. A little bit more embers can fit in there then. And it also brings in oxygen to help keep it burning. Well, let's see if that'll work. And I get the black gook out of there. And just kind of rough it up a little bit. Nothing major. Sorry about the sniffles. And then, before I put that away, clean up the end here a little bit. Just trying to make it symmetrical. Pretty close. Get you back down here. Squirrels fighting. Now you want to have something to catch your embers on. I'm looking. We'll just use my leather glove. Put a little leaf in there. And it came out already. Oh well. And you just start slow, get a good rhythm going. Oops. And all you're doing is getting the embers or that dust built up in that cavity. You got to put pressure down with your left hand. As you're doing this. And you just go a little faster. And you stop and see if you got ember. And it's still smoking. Then I tap it, just so that doesn't stick to the hearthboard. And you have an ember. Now you can take your time. That's going to burn for a while. Then you take that and you put it in your bird's nest, which I didn't make. And that's Bowdrill. With stuff I had around the yard. See, it gets hot. And then, tradition says, once you make your first fire with Bowdrill, it's tradition to burn the entire set. But I still haven't really made a fire. There we go. And it's still smoldering away here. So, I hope that helps. Like I said, I'm by no means an expert. That's how I do it. And it seems to work for me. So, cooling off. I'll let you go. Almost an hour to show you that. But that's real time. Once you start doing it a while, and you do it a few times, you get the hang of it and what sizes and lengths and shapes and stuff you need. You can do it in way less time than that. But I was showing you that there's no rush to do it. You know, it took me a little bit to get to burning, but you'll have that sometimes. And that was, like I said, popple. I used the same wood for the spindle as the hearthboard. I used a harder wood for the bearing block. And that's it. That's all there is to it, guys. Hope it helps. And if you can, get out in the woods and practice. It does a body good. Alright. While watching the hearthboard, spindle, and bearing block burn.